Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Kinesthetic, and I'm here with you guys today with my first ever Q&A. I am so excited, and I'm even more excited because the topic of this Q&A is about my recent trip to Iceland. So in case you guys do not know, which would also mean that you guys did not watch my last two videos, which were my Iceland vlogs, I recently went to Iceland with a few of my friends, just as a casual trip. In case you guys do not know, I love to travel, so Iceland was definitely on my list of places I wanted to go, and I made it my reality in the month of October 2018. But I asked you guys on Instagram and on Twitter to let me know if you guys had any questions about my recent trip, and I got so many questions, so I decided to make this video to answer all of the questions that you guys had, to provide you guys with my 100% honest opinion about my trip, about things I did on this trip, about what was worth it, about what wasn't worth it. I'm here to give you guys all the tea, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So before we go ahead and get started, I want to thank you guys so much for getting me to 200 subscribers. I love you guys all very much, and if you are not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button below so that you guys will never miss any of my future uploads. Also, if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys enjoy my travel related videos on YouTube, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up so that I can always know what kind of content you guys want me to provide you with. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So the first question that I got was, why did I decide to travel to Iceland? And basically, I have a huge running list of places that I want to travel to during my lifetime, and Iceland was definitely on it. I follow so many travel pages on Instagram, and I always see such amazing photos of Iceland, and I'm like, I have to go there one day, I have to go there one day. And one of my sister's friends found really cheap tickets in March of 2018, and I was like, it's only March 2018 and the trip is all the way in October 2018. Like, I don't know if I can make that commitment. So I thought about it, and in May of 2018 I ended up purchasing my ticket, and I was so excited because the price did not go up at all between the price that they saw in March and the price that I ended up paying in May. So I have this little book which I wrote everything down in so that I don't miss any of the points. But I ended up paying $278.24 for my plane ticket, and it was for the dates of October 17th to October 22nd, which was, I left a Thursday and I came back on a Monday. So it was like a perfect, like, quick extended weekend trip. So another question that I got, which kind of goes hand in hand with this question, is how did I find my ticket? And basically, I always hawk a whole bunch of like discounted plane ticket sites, and one of them that I always look at, like, every morning and every evening, I'll just check it out just to see, you know, what's new, comparing prices, just taking note of things. And one of those sites that I always check out is secretflying.com. So what I usually do when I find flights on secretflying.com or any other discounted flight website is I will compare it to what's on Expedia, because when you purchase things on Expedia, you get points, and those points end up resulting in dollars off. So I went on Expedia to see the price of the same exact flight, and thankfully it was the same price. So I purchased my ticket via Expedia so that I could rack up all my points, okay? But yeah, so that's basically how I found my flight. The next question that I got was, where did I stay during my trip? So during the trip, we decided to stay at an Airbnb just because it was cheaper than staying at the hotels in Iceland. And also, thinking about it from an economical perspective, when you stay in an Airbnb, you usually have like a kitchen, usually have like more space. Like, it was 3 girls staying in an Airbnb, so you know we need a whole bunch of space to get ready and whatnot. So we decided to stay in an Airbnb. We ended up booking our Airbnb like 3 or 4 weeks before our date of travel, so there were not a lot of options left, but thankfully we found a beautiful Airbnb in downtown Reykjavik, and it was amazing. So basically, it was 4 girls. We had 2 bedrooms, which was amazing, and we had a whole bunch of like living room, kitchen, and dining space, so it worked out perfectly fine. We ended up paying $245 a person for the Airbnb, which I thought was fine just because of the location and the convenience of the Airbnb. In my opinion, I thought it was very safe. It had like 2 doors that you had to key into before you got into the lobby of the building. And I know a lot of people do not feel comfortable staying in Airbnbs because of their concern of lack of safety. And I always felt comfortable staying in Airbnb because I do my research. I make sure that the Airbnbs have great reviews. They have a sufficient amount of reviews. I compare and contrast like the positive and negative reviews that are on these properties. So I always feel comfortable staying at an Airbnb. It's usually cheaper than staying at a hotel. So when I go on most of my trips, I always end up staying at an Airbnb. So we ended up staying in one Airbnb during our entire time in Iceland. But I would definitely recommend for you to like map out your itinerary of places you want to visit, because I know some people that visited Iceland and stayed in like different Airbnbs on the different coasts of Iceland, just depending on what sites you want to visit. So I would say map out like your itinerary first and then figure out like would it require you to stay in one Airbnb the whole time, go to like 2 or 3 different Airbnb. Another question that I got is how do we get around while we were in Iceland? So we ended up renting a car. In case you guys do not know, the cost of living in Iceland is very expensive compared to the US, which is where I'm from. And a cab for like maybe a 15-minute ride is about 40 to 60 US. Is pretty expensive, especially when you start adding these things up. So we decided to rent a car, which was also a recommendation from a lot of our other friends who traveled to Iceland before us. So we rented an SUV through a local car rental company called Sad Cars, and it was great. Our car rental ended up coming out to $100 per person, since it was 4 of us sharing the vehicle. So it was a great price for the amount of time that we were in Iceland. The main note slash sidebar that I would have about renting a car in Iceland is that gas is a pretty penny, okay? A pretty penny. Before we went, we did research and we saw online that they said it was $7.50 US per gallon. And I was like, that's pretty expensive. But honestly, we got the car on a full tank, and obviously we had to return it on a full tank. So the day before we returned the car, we went to fill the tank, and it was $152 US to fill the tank, which was expensive to me. But however, that full tank that we had when we first received the car was able to take us to all of the places that we drove to ourselves, which I thought was great. Like, we were able to drive to so many places with the car. And also I like renting cars because you have the convenience of doing things on your own time. So I would definitely recommend for you guys to rent a car to get around while in Iceland. But I would definitely take note of the prices of gas, just so you guys are not shocked once you get to the gas station. So moving on to the probably the most asked question that I received about my trip to Iceland is, what did I do when I was in Iceland? So I feel like there's this major misconception, or maybe it's just the people that like I spoke to, my followers on Instagram and Twitter that ended up contacting me, that the only and the main thing that people go to Iceland for is like the hot springs, the Blue Lagoon, the hot water, the steaming water, the cute pics in the water. And I was like, that was just one factor that led me to visit Iceland. And there are so many other like natural, beautiful sites in Iceland that I wanted to see based on, you know, pictures I saw on Instagram, things that people told me from their recent visits to Iceland. And I'm just like, I want to see it all. But one thing with Iceland, in case you guys do not know, is that as a country, they're trying to increase their presence when it comes to tourism. So if you guys fly with Iceland Air, they offer free layovers in Iceland. So to answer the question, we left on Wednesday, October 17th. Our flight was at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So when we got to Iceland, it was about 5 a.m. It was like 5-6 a.m. In Iceland time once we arrived. So Iceland time is 6 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So what we did before we got there is we made a reservation for the Blue Lagoon for 8 a.m., which was the earliest slot that they offer. And once we got off the plane, we collected our luggage, our edges, the car, everything else we had to get, and then we headed to the Blue Lagoon. So when we got there, all right, so backtrack a little bit to the ticket purchase, right? So we ended up purchasing the premium ticket for the Blue Lagoon. Let me just tell y'all what the premium ticket came with, okay? So the premium ticket included entrance to the lagoon, a silica mud mask, use of the towel, bathrobe, and slippers, a first drink for free, a second mask of choice, a restaurant reservation if you choose to dine, and sparkling wine if you choose to dine. So our premium ticket came to $118, but the ticket prices depend on like the day of the week, the time of the year. Like I just checked before I started filming this video, and the premium ticket was like $89, but we paid $118. So I guess we went during a more popular time or a more popular day of the week. And I forgot how much the ticket below the premium was when we booked. The ticket below the premium is called the comfort ticket. And when I checked just now, it was like $20 to $30 cheaper than the premium ticket. So let's just assume that the comfort ticket is $20 or $30 cheaper, okay? So the comfort ticket comes with entrance to the lagoon, a silica mud mask, use of just a towel, and a first drink for free. So we wanted to be bad and bougie so bad in the Blue Lagoon that we went and purchased the premium ticket. And honestly, I think that the comfort ticket is fine. Like, I would have been fine with the comfort ticket, because the main difference to me was really the robe, the slippers, and like the second mask of choice, and then the restaurant, which we didn't end up utilizing. But the masks were open to everybody. Like, they had ladies floating around in the lagoon, like giving out the face mask. So that wasn't really like step up of ticket, because it was something that they were giving out to everyone. And then the bathrobe and the slippers, like once you go in the lagoon, they have like these hooks in this area to put your robe and slippers in. And when I tell y'all I got for my robe and my slippers, like somebody really took my robe and my slippers, and I felt disrespected, because I'm like, I paid for my premium ticket specifically to get the robe and the slippers. Somebody really took my robe and my slippers, which is about half my ticket. So more of the story is that if you're visiting the Blue Lagoon and you're considering getting the comfort ticket or the premium ticket, the comfort ticket is fine. Like, you'll have the full experience. And yeah, so my overall review of the lagoon was that it was amazing. Like, it was amazing. When we went, it was freezing cold outside, because remember, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun has barely rose yet. Like, it's still dark outside, and the water was like so soothing, and like it just felt so good. And if you feel like the Blue Lagoon comfort ticket is a little bit too pricey for your travel budget, I have a second suggestion for you guys. So this is a new hot spring that's becoming more popular in Iceland now, and it is called the Krama Spa. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but I will definitely tag the spelling on the screen so that you guys can know. So it's an hour and a half away from downtown Reykjavik, which is kind of equidistant to the Blue Lagoon. So the Blue Lagoon is 20 minutes away from the airport, but from the Blue Lagoon to downtown Reykjavik is about 45 minutes. So that was basically our first day in Iceland. We stayed at the lagoon until maybe like 11, 12 o'clock, and then we went to grab lunch downtown, and then we checked into our Airbnb. And then after we checked in, we went to buy groceries. So our Airbnb had a kitchen, it had a fridge, it had like all of like the essentials that you need in the kitchen, like pots, pans, everything. So all we really needed to do was buy our groceries, cook our meals, and we were set. So during our second day, what we did is we took our little rental and we went to a whole bunch of different sites just to see what they were about. So most of these sites are included on tours, and the tours are a little bit expensive. So that's another reason why I think renting a car is great, because you can basically do these tours on your own and save some coins, because all you gotta do is basically pay for gas. All of the entrance to these sites were free. So the first site we went to that day was a black sand beach. So I don't watch Game of Thrones, do not judge me, but all of my friends who watch Game of Thrones, all of my friends who were with me that watch Game of Thrones know that that was a major site in Iceland where they shot most of the show. So the black sand beach was 2.5 hours from our Airbnb in downtown Reykjavik, and it was a fine drive. Like, we listened to our Cardi, our Tina Snow, we did what we did, we napped, we did this, we did that, and we got there in no time. We left early in the morning just to start our day early so that we could have enough time to stop at as many sites as we wanted to. So we stopped at the black sand beach, and it was beautiful. Like, if you watch my vlog and my Instagram stories, like, the black sand beach was so bomb. Like, it was just so refreshing, and it was really just beautiful. And basically the water is like very, very vicious. Like, the waves were like so loud, and like while you're walking on the beach, like, you legit have to be careful walking because the water washes up like so far up. So that was basically our first stop. Our second stop was Soka Falls, which was about 20 to 30 minutes away from the black sand beach. And basically when we got there, it's like a huge beautiful waterfall, like so refreshing, so like satisfying. And then they have like this trail where you can walk up. It's about 300 to 400 steps up. Don't quote me on it, but it's about a way up, and it's kind of like dangerous and scary just because some of the staircases are like made of metal, and it's like kind of shaky depending on how windy it is. So I would say make sure you are prepared to climb some steps when you visit this site. Yeah, so we ended up like walking to the top, and like people stand like on the edge of the rocks to take photos and videos of the waterfall. I didn't do all of that. Like, I walked up, I saw it, I made my little Instagram story, and then I came back down. And then also, if you do not feel like walking up the stairs, you can stay like at the bottom of the waterfall and get some great footage of the waterfall still. And also along this route, we wanted to stop at the plane crash site. I'll put a picture of it on the screen so you guys can see what I'm referencing. But basically, it's not drivable. Like, you have to park basically 2 miles away from the actual site. So you'll have to park your car, walk 2 miles, and then take photos, and then you could like come back and go about your business. But basically, by the time we got there, like, there were so many cars in the parking lot, and like we really did not feel like walking that far. So we were just like, like, you know, you're gonna get there, there's gonna be a whole bunch of people in the background of your pictures. I mean, it's a great sight to see. The history behind the plane crash is really amazing, but unfortunately we did not get to stop at this site. But if you are interested, it is something that you guys can add to your itinerary for when you visit. Also watching the time, because we were supposed to go see the Northern Lights that night, but unfortunately it was like a 2, so they ended up canceling the tour that we had booked for the Northern Lights. So just a little background on the Northern Lights. We did not get to see it while we were in Iceland. I was kind of sad, but I was also like, I had so much fun on the trip that like it didn't bother me that I didn't get to see it. But basically the Northern Lights is not visible every night, so they have this tracker online. I will tag a link down below of the one that we were monitoring, and it shows you basically the possibility of you being able to see the Northern Lights on every night. And basically all of the nights that we were there, the Northern Lights were not visible. So I was kind of sad, but I'm like, I'll be back to Iceland. Our tour was supposed to start at 8 p.m. so they were gonna pick us up at 7:30. So we were just watching the time and planning, like, you know, like, we still want to stop to get food, have time like to have dinner, have time to like go back, shower and relax. So we ended up like heading back home after we stopped at that waterfall. On our way home, we stopped to get KFC because we had heard through the grapevine that the KFC in Iceland was comparable to the KFC in Jamaica. Well, I haven't been to Jamaica yet, but I have heard so many great things about the KFC in Jamaica, so I was just so excited to try it. So pricing on KFC was a little cheaper than other like Iceland food options. My meal ended up coming to about 11 or 12 US, which was not bad when it comes to buying food at restaurants in Iceland. The food was okay. My friends who I was with that visited Jamaica said it did not taste like the KFC in Jamaica at all, so that is not true. Yeah, so the food was good, and then we ended up driving back to Reykjavik to prepare for the Northern Lights tour, which ended up getting canceled. So as I mentioned earlier, my sister and her friends were also in Iceland, and they were staying at a huge Airbnb because it was a total of 8 of them. So they decided to host a game night at their spot, and it was so much fun. So we went home, we changed into our pajamas because it was like a pajama themed game night. But yeah, the game night was great. I had a lot of fun, and yeah, I didn't vlog it much because y'all know what happens at a game night stays at a game night, so y'all didn't really get to see much of that. Besides, I think I put like one clip in one of my... So the third day was October 20th, which was Reba's birthday, and we ended up just going downtown and exploring, seeing what downtown had to offer. We wanted to get souvenirs to bring back home, and then we ended up going to Hard Rock Cafe to have what was kind of like lunch or dinner by the time we got there. But yeah, Hard Rock Cafe was great. Like, if you guys go to Iceland, you have to try the beef. Like, the beef is so fresh, like so fresh. Great. and the food at Hard Rock Cafe was really good, and you had so many options that we ended up going there twice to eat. We went the night of Reba's, well, the evening night of Reba's birthday, and then we went back the following night just because the food was so good. But yeah, so we went to Hard Rock Cafe, and then after that, my sister recommended that we went to this observatory called the Perlan, which basically has a phenomenal view of like the whole downtown Reykjavik. And unfortunately, by the time we got there, it was closed. But if you guys watched my second vlog, you guys saw that we were still able, well, some people were still able to go out there and see what the view was about. But it was very, very windy, and it closes at 7 o'clock p.m. So you definitely want to have that noted if you want to visit this site. But in the daytime and the nighttime, it's a great place to see a great view of downtown Reykjavik. So we booked this tour to go snowmobiling on the second largest glacier in Iceland, which I was the most excited about because I've never been snowmobiling before, but I heard it is so much fun. And basically, the snowmobiling tours are depending on the weather. So we had originally booked it for Saturday the 20th, but since the weather was predicted to be bad, they canceled it and they allowed us to reschedule for Sunday. I will definitely tag below and on the screen the company that we did our snowmobiling tour with. The total of the tour was $265 US. And at first I was kind of skeptical because I'm like, that's basically the amount that I pay for my flight to come here and go home. Like, oh, why am I paying this much for an excursion? That was my initial thought. And then after, I was just like, girl, just go. It's an experience. Like, experiences last a lifetime. So I decided to go, and it was one of the best decisions that I made. So the tour that we booked first took us to the North America Taconic Plate. It was an amazing view, amazing view. It was like so refreshing. And our second stop on the tour was a geyser. I still don't know how to pronounce it, but don't judge me, guys. I don't know how to pronounce a lot of things. But we stopped there, and it actually had like 3 cafes, a souvenir shop, and like other shops to buy like clothes and other things. So it was like a great place to get to like by midday so that you can have lunch before you go on the snowmobiles. And then the third stop was basically souvenir. It was like a huge souvenir shop, but it was kind of like a transfer point to get on the bus to go to the snowmobiles. We waited for the bus to go to the snowmobile site. So the ride from the spot that they made us transfer buses at to the snowmobile spot was 45 minutes away. And yeah, the bus ride was so scary. Like, the wheels were like so high, as you guys can see if you guys watch my second vlog. The wheels were so high, and they warned us, like, you know, the bus is gonna be kind of shaky. We were on the bus and we were like I had my wig on, I'm like but the bus ride was crazy. Like, I was praying on that bus so many times. I'm just like, Lord, please let me be able to go back home. Mama don't know what I'm doing in Iceland. Like, she would not approve of me doing something risky like this. And like during the ride, the bus driver would stop and say like, oh, I have to deflate the tires to go through like this thing, and I have to put air in the tires to go through this thing. So we had to keep stopping for the driver to adjust the tires. But yeah, the bus ride was, it was a lot. Basically, we got there and they suited us up. They made us tell them our sizes and what color suit we wanted, and they basically gave it to us. They put a helmet on, they gave us gloves. So basically, I would recommend wearing like snow boots, or basically not Uggs. I would say to bring some cute sunglasses with you for picture purposes, which is what I did. The snowmobiles were really fun. The ride is about an hour and a half. So everybody had like partners on the snowmobiles, which was fine with me. I didn't mind. And then you rode out into the beautiful view, and then they made you stop like midway in case you guys wanted to change drivers or take pictures. So then they like made you about face and basically go back to the site you started at. But it was so much fun. Like, the view was like amazing. But I would definitely recommend that tour to anyone who is considering going. The snowmobiles were really fun. At first, as I said, I was skeptical about the price, but I was definitely happy that I ended up going. So the next question was, what did I eat when I was in Iceland? So when we were in Iceland, the first day after we left the Blue Lagoon, we stopped at this pizza shop called DeVito's Pizza, and we basically paid like $15 US for a personal pizza pie and a bottle of soda. or like a drink of your preference. They gave you like options, and basically you were able to put 3 toppings on the pizza, and it was great. Like, I thought it tastes good. It wasn't like New York pizza, but it was good pizza. But it was good. And then, as I mentioned, we bought groceries to cook in the Airbnb since it was cheaper. My best friend Kayla is a chef, so she was chefing it up for us for breakfast, for our lunch meals, and our dinner meals. And then we went to Hard Rock Cafe twice. I featured some of the food that we ate at Hard Rock Cafe in my second vlog, in case you guys want to go back and reference, like, you know, what the food looked like. We went supermarket shopping. The 2 supermarkets that we went to were Bonus and Cronin. We were told that these are the cheapest grocery stores, and when we went grocery shopping, we went to Cronin the first night, but it was a smaller location. And I guess basically just be mindful that not every supermarket has the same selection of groceries. So it might be easier to go to a larger location in general, just because they would have a wider selection of groceries and they might have more of what you're looking for. The prices in a supermarket, some things were like comparable to like what I pay in New York for my groceries, and some things were like a little bit more expensive. But yeah, so that kind of leads me to my next question of what challenges did we encounter in Iceland. I wouldn't say that we really encountered like any challenges. I think usually challenges are like, you know, language barriers, or like lack of access like to your phone. I have Sprint, and Sprint worked perfectly while I was out there. I was like fine with like, you know, GPSing things, looking things up. Almost everyone there speaks English, so there's no need to ask, you know, do you speak English? Everyone basically speaks like Icelandic and English, so there's like no language barrier. Transportation was easy. Since we rented a car, we were able to get what we needed by using like the GPS on our phone. Also, another question that I received was, how was the nightlife in Iceland? And the nightlife was actually lit. Like, you just have to know the right places to go to. So we tried to go to B5 because that was the most recommended spot that played like hip-hop and rap music. But when we got there, it was like a mob of people outside, and the location isn't too big, so we figured like, you know, we're not gonna end up getting inside, or we're gonna have to spend majority of our night waiting to get in. So we ended up going to another suggestion, which was Oster, which was like about 2 minutes away from B5. We got there. The music was okay. They played like, you know, some Nicki, some Drake, some like EDM, but the vibes were great. Like, everyone was in there like turning up and having a great time. So we ended up having fun. We ended up going out the night of the 20th, which was the night of Reba's birthday. So we had a great time. Those were all of the questions that I was asked. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully this convinces you to go ahead and visit Iceland. It was amazing, and for me, I think that it was a very well-priced trip. I didn't end up spending too much coin, so that's always good. If you guys have any other questions, I'll probably do a part 2 depending on how many other questions you guys have, or if you guys have any travel questions, just let me know. I'm always here to do Q&A. My opinions are always 100% honest. I don't sugarcoat anything, as you guys could probably tell by now. But yeah, so before you guys head out, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and give this video a big thumbs up if you guys like this video. If you guys want more Q&As, if you guys want more travel advice, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up. And before you guys head out, do not forget to check out my recent uploads on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys.